Hi, my name is Elizabeth Pineda, and my topic is on the multi-state outbreak of Salmonella branderup that was linked to nut butter manufacturers. Step 1. Background information. What is Salmonella? Salmonella is a bacteria that causes salmonellosis in a person's intestinal tract. It most commonly comes from infected foods or water, and the symptoms included are fever, diarrhea, chills, stomach cramps, nausea, and vomiting. On January 2014, 6 people were infected with salmonellosis, and it was linked to a multi-state outbreak of Salmonella branderup that was manufactured by Inspired Natural Foods Incorporated. There was a total of 6 cases and 0 deaths, and only about 1 hospitalization. Step 2. Current situation. Inspired nut butter products could still be in homes. While the manufacturer recalled the product from stores, citizens may not know the butter is infected and could become sick since it has a long shelf life and still lives in their homes. The weakness is many people still have the infected product in their homes since it has a long shelf life, and the opportunity that can come from this is the FDA can remind facilities of the regulations and enforce those regulations more in big manufacturing industries. Step 3. Prioritize core issues. The manufacturing plant in Ashland, Oregon did not follow FDA regulations. When the FDA went to go do an investigation at the location in Ashland, Oregon, they took samples of the nut butter that was being produced and found salmonella in many of those samples. Also, they failed to clean and sanitize machinery and facility properly, and the equipment that they used to sanitize did not completely eliminate any microorganisms that would possibly grow. Additionally, pipes were not set up to eliminate backflow of contaminants, and it emphasized the need for stricter inspections of food manufacturers, since there were many outbreaks and they were not following the rules. Step 4. Analyze alternatives. The first approach would be that consumers should throw away any nut butters they may have in their homes that was manufactured by Inspired. As I said before, this nut butter does have a long shelf life, so it could still live in consumers' homes. Consumers should discard the product in a tightly closed container and bag to prevent further contamination, because other humans or animals could get to the nut butter and spread the salmonella if they consume the nut butter. The second approach would be educating food industry employees on food handling. It could prevent cross-contamination that can occur between the employee and the food. One thing the FDA found was that some employees were not washing their hands after they ate or used the restroom, so there was a lot of cross-contamination going on between the machines and the facility's workers. Step 5. Recommendations. One recommendation should be that the food handler certification should be more extensive. Rather than taking a test online for 2 hours, it should be more interactive, in which workers must pass physical tests in order to obtain certification. That way, the FDA can ensure that these employees are experienced and have sufficient training to handle foods. The second recommendation should be that there should be more involvement from food inspectors. They should visit more frequently to ensure rules and regulations are not being ignored. That way they can give tips to workers on how to sustain the clean facility and how to protect themselves from infecting foods. Step 6. Action Plan. The public health officials should send out a public notice to citizens to inform them of the contaminated food after the first 2 cases of salmonella, and this should happen within the first 2 weeks. According to the FDA website, after 2 cases of the same illness due to the same product, it is considered an outbreak. The second step would be that there should be investigations done on that industry plant to ensure regulations are being followed correctly and to find the cause of the outbreak. That should take about 1 month, since they do have to run tests on the samples and ensure that they don't have salmonella. If there are issues in food handling and production, the industry should allow 3 months time to dispose of infected foods, properly sanitize their equipment and their facility, and then retrain employees and teach them how to prevent the outbreak from happening again. My opinion is that there should be more inspections on food manufacturing facilities. I also think that regulations should be rewritten because there is still a big presence of outbreaks across the United States from poor sanitization and food handling. Since there has been a very large number of outbreaks in the last couple months, maybe it's time we stop looking for flaws in the facilities and the manufacturing companies and looking for flaws within the regulations themselves. I also think that employees should be trained to be as careful as possible when handling foods and should be engaged in routine inspections that look for their performance as a food handler and see any flaws that maybe they could work on. When I received my food handler certification, I personally only took a 2-hour online class, and I was never physically trained on how to prepare the food, on how to wash my hands properly, and how to prevent any cross-contamination from one food to the other. My name's Elizabeth, and that's my presentation. Thank you.